Hey,
We're
welcome
back
back from the
from the
commercial
break.
break. So this week we just want to talk about, fathers, right?
Fathers.
Sunday was Father's Day, and we hope that you made your husband or the father of your children feel special. And we just want to take a moment to just talk about fatherhood. So tell me this,
Yes.
Keon, how did you tell your husband that he was first going to be a father?
So I will say that we actually had been trying for like 2.5 years to get pregnant with our first one. And it was starting to get to the point where it was like, maybe I'm not supposed to have kids. I don't know. You start having all
Right.
those thoughts. But I actually had undergone a procedure because I had to see what was going on in my body. And they
Mhm.
actually told me there's a good chance you might get pregnant because women who have this procedure get pregnant. And
All
I'll tell
right.
you, the name of the procedure is a histopingogram. It's
Oh,
not
girl.
fun.
That don't
It's
sound like fun
not
at
fun.
all.
It is not fun. Anything with a name like that cannot be fun.
No.
Oh. And so we actually were going on a little mini trip up to Oakland, or actually the San Francisco area, because my husband is a big Raider fan. And so we were going to a Raider playoff game. And so I missed my period and was like, oh, I think I might
Ooh.
be. You know how many times before you've gone through that and then you take the test
Right.
and it's negative and you're like, oh. So I was just like, I really think I might be. We were packing that morning to go to the airport. He's like, I'm running to the store and I'm going to get a test. And I was like, okay. But then he got back and I got a shy bladder. My bladder was like, I can't do anything. And I was like, oh my God. And I was just like freaking out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put it in the suitcase. We're going to take it with us. So we were the whole way flying up north. I'm like, oh my God, I think I am. What if I'm pregnant? Oh my God. All these thoughts.
Right.
And then we get to the airport, we get in the taxi or whatever. And of course, by that time, my bladder is screaming. So we get to the hotel, we're checking in, and I'm sitting there like, I am going to have an accident. I really need to go right now. The bellhop takes us up to the room. He's like showing us the room. I'm like, you need to get out because I need to pee right now. So the guy leaves. I open the suitcase. I take the test. I run in the bathroom and I take the test and I put it up on the countertop. I'm washing my hands. And, the box tells you, wait 5 minutes or whatever for
Right.
results. And I immediately start seeing the results. And I'm like, am I losing my mind? So I walked out of the bathroom and he was sitting on the bed and I said, come with me. And I got him off the bed and I walked behind him with my hand in his back and pushed him in the bathroom. And I'm standing outside the bathroom and I'm like, look at it. I'm like, do you see 2 lines? He's like, look at it. Is there a line in each window? He was like, yes. I was like, oh my God. And he turned around and I said, oh my God, we're pregnant. And I just remember he dropped to his knees and he grabbed me around my waist and he like hugged me and we were like crying.
Yeah.
And like, it was just like that. Oh my God, we finally did it. Yes, and it was just like that moment of disbelief, and he like looked at me, and I remember he like kissed my belly, and I was just kind of like, oh my God, we did it. And so that was our weekend in San Francisco. Like, that was like it. I was just like, oh my God. And it was like the perfect weekend too. Like, we went and saw a show, we went and had dinner at this fancy restaurant, we went to the game, his team won. It
Welcome
was just
that baby with love.
Yeah, so that was when we found out. We were actually in San Francisco when we found out we were having our first one. What about you?
Oh, that's so exciting. So we were similar where we were trying for a minute and, girl, I don't know what it is. Like, why? Some people just get pregnant, like they blink at their husband and they get pregnant. You're like,
hey, baby. There we go.
Yeah, that's not us either. So I was like really, really nervous because we had some, false alarms or some babies that, didn't hang around very long. And so I had waited this time, because I'm like, okay, I just like not. And then I started like actually getting really sick. Like, ooh. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had completely forgotten about like my missed period. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I cannot. I don't know what is happening to my system, but I'm about to die. Like, I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't hold anything down. And we had been trying. So why? Click in the head. But it didn't. I was like, I literally called him from work. I'm like, babe, I'm about to die. No, I'm dramatic. I'm sorry.
He's like, wait, what?
I need you to take me to the doctor. And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I cannot drive. I cannot do anything. I can't, can't even barely have a conversation. I need you to just call the doctor and tell him I'm coming. And he was like, well, if you're that sick, we need to just take you to the ER, whatever. I'm like, I don't care. I'm about to die. I feel like the whole world, I can't, everything makes me sick. I don't know what on earth.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I went to the doctor and they did the thing and they're like, so when was your last period? I was like, oh, like as soon as they asked that question, like I don't know. I just, the whole
Your mommy brain had already set in.
Right. Like it's so crazy. Like, because like people talk about morning sickness like it's cute. Like, oh it's just a little morning sick. Girl, I was vilely ill. Like severely sick. Like this was not cute. This was not glow. This was green for months. And so it was like, I literally was like, oh, I could go now. I know what it is. And she was like, no, sit down. You're going to take this.
You're here now.
Yeah. Here's a little cup. And so, yeah. So they were like, oh my gosh. I was like, we tell people, do we not tell people? So we waited a little people to tell to make sure our little person wasn't going to go to heaven early. And oh my gosh, we were so excited. And that man just fell in love with that little peanut, like similar to your husband. Like he immediately started talking to her. Like, and it was so crazy because he called it. He was like, she's a girl. And I'm like, babe, you don't know that. You don't, because then you're going to be disappointed when we find out and this and that. And he was like, I don't care. That's my daughter. And he started talking to her, calling her. Girl, the man went to the bookstore. This is how funny. He went to the bookstore and bought like every brown girl book with a brown girl on it. He went and bought it, you know? And so, girl, he was like, no, my baby needs to see herself. I'm like, but I don't even think she has eyes yet, babe.
I don't even think she has ears yet. Like,
but it does not matter. He was
so
reading to her like right away. Like, oh, he was just so excited.
That was crazy. It's nothing like telling your spouse the first time.
I know.
I blew it the second time. I did. I blew it. My husband was not very happy with me.
Oh no, you were just like pregnant, whatever.
Because I took a test at home with my first one was here with me, and I called him at work and told him he was very mad. Why didn't you wait till I get home? I was like, oh,
didn't think about it.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. So I think I got like payback on that one because I was violently ill with that one. The second one.
Were you? Oh God.
It was a girl. And
I wish I was one of those women that was just so.
The first one I was fine. I had some nausea, but that was it. But when I got pregnant with my daughter, like I'm talking about sick for most of the pregnancy. I'm talking about losing 8 pounds the first trimester because I was so sick and couldn't keep anything down. It's something about having girls.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the girl.
All my husband kept saying was, this one has to be a girl because only a girl would do that to her mother. That's exactly what he said to me. Only a girl
that's
would
hilarious.
do that to her mother. So yes, that was very, very interesting.
Well, isn't it so interesting to watch your husband transform into a father?
From your husband to a father, yes.
Right? Like it's the most beautiful and weird thing. Like suddenly he just gets geekier.
All these dadisms and crazy things they say, and you're like, what are you talking about, man? That's what we call them. We call them dadisms. We actually made a picture book for my husband one year. I think it was for his birthday or Father's Day. And there was like a whole page of like, we did of dadisms, like the quirky things that he says. And my kids are like, oh my God, he's such a dad. Like even now when he says stuff, they're like, that was the worst dad joke ever. Like,
I know, but they're the best, right? Yeah. Like I'm so glad my kids get to roll their eyes at their dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so they'll ask my husband, like, Dad, how do they XYZ? And he'll go very carefully. Like that's his answer. And they're just like,
I actually wanted details.
Can you give us more? And then when you don't want details, he will give you the ins and outs of every part of it. And you're like, I just wanted a really simple,
buckle up. He's going down the rabbit hole.
We're going to go through the history. Now we're going to go through the whole history of the item and everything. And it's like, no, I'm not ready for that.
Like the Star Wars thing, like it's cute. I like Star Wars. Okay. I'll dress up and I'll I'll go to the thing, but I'll ask like one, like, I can't remember who is the person that did the thing. Like,
oh, then you got to go back in the history of it and find out why.
Who's the sister or who's the brother or who's the girl? Then you're like, oh, wait a minute, but I wasn't. Okay, never mind. I'm going to put my seatbelt on. We're going on this ride.
Buckle up. Here we go.
Yeah, and we're just in. Everybody just hold on because we're in for it. We are going deep.
We're going. Let's go. Yeah, that's something that happens all the time. Like, we're just like, or I'll be like, I just wanted a simple answer. He's like, well, but you've got to look at this and and I'm like, do we really have to? Like, I really just had a simple question. Like, I don't know why we have to dig deep and dive deep into this. I literally just wanted a yes or no. Like, now we got to do all this analytical stuff. And I'm like, And he reads a lot. So he'll be like, I was reading. And I'll be like, so it's so funny because sometimes I'll be thinking, oh, I heard something I think he ain't heard. And I'll be like, did you know, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I knew that. I'm like, never mind. Like, just forget it. I'm done. Every once in a while, I'll be like, did you hear? Da, 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 da. Or do you know? Da, da, da. And he'll be like, oh, no, I didn't know that. And I'll be like, yes, I got one.
It's 1 point for me. I know. It's so funny. Like, it's so interesting to watch, like, the ways that your husband just transforms into this, like, crazy kid. I mean, like, it's so interesting. Like,
right.
Like the throwing of the children. Why did the
when
dad
they throw them up?
Yeah. What is it about manhood that means here's this cute little bundle?
Let's throw it in the air. Because moms don't do that. And you're like, oh my God, please don't drop this child. Please don't do it.
You understand this is a lot of hard work that I put into making this person. Like, you remember all the things that we went through that
I
went through to bring this person to life, and you just gonna chuck it?
Yeah.
No.
It's a dad thing. That's a dad thing.
You remember the hospital bill? Like, if I bought something for the price, if you put all the prenatal copays plus the prenatal vitamins and the maternity clothes and the maternity ward copay, that, you know what I mean, hospital copay, you bundle all that up and put that in the price tag. If it was any other item and I threw it, my husband would be having a fit. Do you know how much we pay for that? Here is this little bundle that at the very least financially was a significant investment, let alone my literal blood, sweat, and tears investment. And
we're just going to chuck it.
I don't understand.
It's a dad thing.
Why? Why must they throw? Why? Cuddle, kiss. Not that my husband doesn't. He cuddles and kisses, but he also throws.
Yes.
Like, and here's the crazy, these children think you thought we would have gone to Disneyland.
Yeah.
Do it again, Daddy. Do it again. And that's the reason why we as mothers allow it, because the baby cackles like
the baby shrieked in terror. We'd be like, "Oh,
yeah, don't do it." But and you think the first time you see it, you think, "Oh, my child is about to never trust their father again." What are you doing? Right?
But they go, "Ooh, yay, again," and you're like,
amazing noise of like joy comes out of your child, and you're thinking like, this is hurting my brain. I can't do this because I know gravity works.
Yes.
Like, always.
What goes up must come.
Yes, it is not intermittent. It is consistent.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny too, because I think sometimes too, like, it's like how we do, moms and dads will do things differently.
Totally.
Any normal person, right? So my youngest one, like, will ask dad to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for him, like when he was younger. And then my husband would be making it and he would go, "You made it wrong." And my husband's like, "How do you mess up peanut butter and jelly?" Well, that's not how mom does it. She puts peanut butter on one bread and then jelly on the other bread, where my husband puts the jelly on top of the peanut butter.
Oh.
So apparently my son was like, that's not the right way to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because that's not how mom does it. And he said, I bet you're going to eat the sandwich.
Right.
Like, it's still peanut butter and
it's
jelly.
It's going to be the same in the bread. Look.
But you didn't make it right. But he was like, then you can make your own sandwich. So yeah, I know. I remember the first time when I used to do Party Like That, I went to my first conference and I was like, there's no way I'm going, because we just had our oldest one. He was the only child at the time.
Right.
And I was like, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, I'm the one that takes care of this child. Like, how am I going to leave and go to St. Louis for 3 or 4 days? Like, who's going to take care of the kid? And my husband was like, me? And I was like, you? He was like, yeah. he was like, I was like, but do you know what it means when he says this? Do you know what it means? He's like, I bet you I'll figure it out. I was like,
Right.
oh. So I went, and I will tell you, it was nice to get away and just be a mom, not be a mom, just be a
For a
woman,
minute.
right? For a
Right.
minute. You know, and I'm like, oh, I hope he's taking care of my kid.
I know,
I
is
hope
he
my kid,
alive? Is he
everybody's
alive?
still, you know, and then I got back, and it was so funny because he was like, oh, so he doesn't use a pacifier anymore.
You're
I
like, wait,
was
what?
like, well, why? He goes, well, he lost his favorite one. He didn't want the backup binky. So guess what? We're not using one. And I was like, well, okay. Enough said. Good
Right.
job.
Done.
So dads do things their way. I had to remind my
Oh,
children every
differently.
time I would leave for conference, like, dad may not do things the same way as me, but dad will get it done, right?
But,
So
and there are also those things
okay.
that dads do that the kids are so excited about. Like, I don't ever, if I'm out of town, I know what my children are eating. I don't want to know. Like, don't show me the proof that y'all are eating some crazy weird meal, like with hot dogs and cheese and I don't know what else. Like I'm
But
like,
they're like, hey,
yeah, but the kids love it. Like, oh, is dad making dinner? You're going, you know, I'll go out. Like, oh, you're going out with friends? Is dad making dinner? I'm like, I don't know. Talk to your father. Like,
I don't want to be part of this.
I'm not listening. I'm not listening. I don't want to know because it's always some crazy concoction. And it's so funny because I remember my father doing the same thing and being so excited. I remember.
See, I can't remember that. The things that my dad used to make, I used to be like, why are we eating sauerkraut and hot dogs? That's disgusting.
No, my mother was in graduate school. And so during her finals week, when she was working on her doctorate, my dad would just put her up in an embassy suites so that she could just actually focus. And he was a firefighter, so he could like move his schedule around so he could just take the whole, you know, week off so she could handle her business. Oh my gosh, my sandwiches would be monstrous. Like, and all my friends would be like, what is that? And I would literally say a dad sandwich. So it was really funny in elementary school, that period that my mom was going to school. She started with her bachelor's all the way to her doctorate. Everyone would be like, is it finals week? My friends in elementary school knew finals week meant Claire had donuts and brownies. And like, there was a time where my dad literally just put a huge chunk of cake in my lunch box. Ooh. And I opened it up and I was like, oh, and somebody's like, it's finals week. I'm like, yes, it's finals week.
I needed some finals weeks. What the heck? A chunk of cake? That's like the best lunch ever.
Which is so funny because I think about now from a mom's perspective and how kids like associate things. Like, I never had anxiety around finals week when I was a kid, and I always ate like crap during finals week. It was just, like, I thought about it a couple of years ago, like, oh, that's so interesting how that shifted my thought about what finals should be. And even to this day,
everybody knows finals week should be crappy food.
Totally. So
lots of caffeinated soda.
And their finals week, I completely shift like what I cook and what I give them during that time because of that crazy, probably my dad just losing his mind. Like, I'm supporting my wife with her education, but really like doing all of
that piece of cake was, ooh, I forgot to make something. Ooh, there's cake. Let's put that in the lunchbox. I'd have been like, this is awesome.
Or I remember him doing my hair and be like, Daddy, but this one, this side don't match this side. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
Like, it's just like,
I remember that happening with my sister. I remember because my dad had done her hair and one ponytail was here and the other one was here. And I was like, well, I guess you could just walk around like this. But I had to fix it. And I was in elementary school and I was like, we can't walk around looking crazy.
Right? Looking like this. Oh, I know. I remember, well, okay, so when I was pregnant, y'all know I'm a little special. So I was like totally paranoid that like I was going to die during childbirth. And then this beautiful, you know, Filipino man was going to have to do this black child's hair, right? So every night I made Frank, my husband, part my hair and like put it into like he could at least get the afro down. He could at least braid. Luckily, he had 3 younger sisters, so he already knew a little bit about braid, how to make a ponytail, how to part. However, you know, his sister's hair ain't nothing like my hair, and certainly not my daughter's hair. So I was like, you have to. So he was like, okay, and I like taught him how to oil my scalp and how to make it so that at least he could like be cute until she was old enough to like
do
get
it
to the
herself.
salon,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like you need a couple years of just good ponytails, and then you could just every 2 weeks go to the salon, and the salon would just handle it, right?
Right. That's so funny.
So yeah, so that's one thing he was always good at. He could Afro puff it like nobody's
I
business.
don't think my husband has ever done my daughter's hair.
Really?
Maybe she has had some. That girl got some hair. Let me tell you. And so I don't think he's ever had to do it. I'm trying to think if there was a time he ever tried. I don't know, because there's times I don't even want to try. There was times I didn't even want to try. I was like, yeah, I know. But yeah, I think that's the funny thing about dads is there are some things they do that you're just like,
right. They do such different things. And I know for me personally, I always have to like hesitate to call it wrong because it's different, right? I'm like, that's not how, wait a minute. He is equally parent.
He's going to do it his way.
And he's going to do it his way, and he's going to do it out of love. Like, do I really want to interfere with the way he's going to love his kids?
Exactly.
Even though it's different. And my kids always love it. Like, that's what's so crazy. Like, you're like, kids need that balance of two different people, two different perspectives, two different, you know, and like I said, when I leave town, my kids are so excited. Like, it's just gonna be us. Oh, or don't, you know, especially my son, like if my daughter and I go, it's just gonna be me and dad.
Oh, yeah. He's like it's boys' weekend.
Yes, right. Or
I'm gonna eat like crap. This is awesome.
And we're gonna watch a whole bunch of TV. Yes, and we're gonna, you know, throw a ball around or whatever in the house.
Yes, right. Oh my gosh. But I also have to say it's also great how they support us in all of our crazy endeavors and stuff as their wives.
Yeah,
like, you know, sometimes you come like starting a podcast. When I came to my husband's like, Claire and I are starting a podcast. He was like, okay. What's it going to be about? Mom stuff. You know, he was like, all right. I was like, yeah, we are going to grow this sucker. Like I was so excited. And he was just, but he was so supportive. And even like in the beginning, like I'd be like, oh my God, we got 10 listens. He was like, you know? And it used to get to the point where he would text me like from work, and be like, how many listens do you have? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I didn't check yet today, you know? So it was so funny. And he's always supportive. I mean, when I did Party Light, he was very supportive. And, you know, me going out and doing these crazy candle parties, you know, and then when I decided to chuck that and get my real estate license, he was super supportive. Actually, he was the one that had been telling me for years to get it. And I was like, this man is crazy. But he was so supportive. Like if I needed to study and stuff, like he was all over it. So I think that is the other part of their dad part of them where they show the support with it. Because we would not be where we are right now if it wasn't for the support of our husbands and them stepping in when we need them to step in with the kids and be like, look, I got to go do 3 candle parties this weekend. So you on dad duty, take over, you know, and then being like, got it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Well, I just think what I love the most is watching my son emulate his father. You know what I mean? Like you ever see those moments where you see your son studying him, like in beginning to stand and walk and say certain things. It's just like so cute, you know, to see that, you know, or like what I really love is that my daughter very early on knew that she had that man around her finger, you know, much to my chagrin, like my husband, little girl. But what it has meant is that she knows she has a daddy. So it's like, she wants sushi. She goes, you know, she's not hunting for some.
They know how to do that little tone in their voice and everything. And I'd be like,
really? I'm like, really? Yeah, exactly.
All
right. Love it because she's loved and cared for, and you know, and I really
and they're teaching them how they need to be taught, how they need to be treated,
and that's what I hope and pray, that my child will choose well, that his example will help her know not to take no okie doke, even though I know she's gonna be a wild child and choose some interesting things. We all do make some interesting choices in our youth.
Oh, once in a while, yes, you do make one, and you look back later and you be like, I must have been abducted by aliens. I don't know what was wrong with me.
And when you step back and look, you're like, what on earth was I thinking?
It was a moment.
Right. But I have always, and even, you know, to this day, known that like my dad has my back. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And I love that my daughter feels that same way. Like that if she gets in a sticky situation, she knows she can call her daddy. He will come down.
Right.
and handle some business. My husband does not
Exactly.
get angry about very many things. He's very slow to anger, very patient. We're opposite in that way, yin and yang. But mess with his children.
Oh, it's on. You might as well just said, I declare war.
Totally. Like,
Right?
I remember the first time we had an incident at school where some child did not treat her well and unfortunately had to do around, race. And the school kind of brushed it under the rug. And I had gone in to have the conversation, but it had not gone well and I was venting. That man took the next day off and went up to the school.
He said, I got this.
Yeah, like, no.
That's something about that, knowing when you're a little girl like your dad, because I remember there was an incident in elementary school and we were playing some game outside and the boy went for the bar as I went for the ball and he hit me and he called me the B word. And I went to the principal and the principal, unbeknownst to me, the principal had called my father and my father came in and they actually let my father have a word with that little boy. I was like, that would not happen today. That little boy was crying and sniffling and snotting and scared and said, I'm sorry like a million times. And then I got to go home early with my daddy.
I know. Oh my gosh, that reminds me of a story. So I had a similar incident where a little boy in elementary school was picking on me. And however, I defended myself. And so all the teacher saw was me defending myself. So I ended up in the office and they called my father. My father came down and they said she was, and he was like, well, why was she hitting the little boy? And he said, put his finger up to the principal and turned to me, Claire, tell me what happened. And I told him the little boy had been mean. He had been pulling my hair. I told him, he's like, let me tell you, and let me make this clear. If anybody puts a hand on my child, she will kick their butts. So tell them to keep their hands to themselves. And he promptly took me at school and we went to McDonald's.
Mickey D's to the rescue.
Yes. I remember that so well. My dad being like, what? Wait a minute. No.
This is not even a conversation right now.
No, he put his hands on her without her permission. No, done. End of story. Like,
exactly.
So I'm so grateful. Mamas, if you have a dad in your kids' lives, whether or not you are together or not, like, there's a real blessing to that. And, my husband gets on my nerves. Equally, he does stuff that I think is like, why are you doing that with the kids? Like,
and then you have to step back and go, they do the same thing with us. There's a time when you walk away and they're like, this woman.
Right? Like, why is
she is going to drive me to madness.
Exactly. I know we've already honored them on Sunday, but I want us to just really maybe make a habit of just being thankful and communicating it. I know I do a crappy job at this, guys. Like, I want to work this year to honor the men in my child's lives that pour into them. My husband, coaches, teachers, we don't say thank you enough. And I would love for us to begin, to do that, especially those gentlemen that are really stepping up and reminding our kids that they're amazing, that are making, really great examples of what it means to be a man, that you can be happy and gentle and kind. And
right, exactly. All those things. And showing our daughters how they need to be treated by a man. So I think that's truly important. And we need to be more cognizant of showing that gratitude and also teaching our children to show that gratitude to their father. Even when he does stuff that drives you crazy, but he's doing it out of love. Right? So even when he gives you that long, elaborate answer when all you wanted was a little short one, just know he's doing it because he's just trying to educate you.
Exactly. And he loves you. He wants you to have all that information.
Absolutely. So just remember, even though this podcast is all about the mamas, we are very grateful for the daddies too.
We are indeed. Have a fantastic week.